Okay, so this whole thing with the Apple versus the FBI and everything, and I was meaning to do something earlier about this, but I've been so busy with school and work and IT homework first, people. Um, how should I say this? Start this off? So first off, I saw the interview with Tim Cook. That was on ABC. Now, according to what he said, this is true. If the FBI were to first come to Apple and ask Apple for help, Apple could have taken the phone, and the FBI could have done this too. They could have taken the phone to their house, and it would sync up to his computer, and all the files would be there, and they wouldn't have to create this backdoor in the first place. But no, because the FBI decided to try to crack the code, Apple has made iOS's on iPhones to after the 10th time to delete all the data on the phone, so if someone steals your phone, they can't hack your data, which is a smart thing. The whole thing about the backdoor thing and how people like Bill Gates says Apple should do it, and then there's other people who say Apple shouldn't do it. It's on and off, one side or the other. The thing with that is, it can't be just done with one phone. If they make that backdoor for one phone, all of iOS is basically screwed. Because someone could get Black Hat could risk getting that code, and now someone has it where they can hack any iOS out there in the world. So, lesson learned here is FBI should have gone to Apple first, which they didn't. And yes, it's a horrible thing what happened out in San Bernardino, but I mean, what can you do? I mean, do you want the government to basically? The problem is that they're afraid because Apple's all about security and everything. If the FBI has that key to an iOS, they can pretty much backdoor into any iOS they please. That's the problem. I don't know. I'm looking here at Mashable, and pretty much it's, how should I say this? Basically, the FBI is trying to force, and the government's trying to force Apple making this backdoor, which just isn't a good idea. I mean, sure. I don't know. I'm trying to look at this right now. Sure, I mean, the FBI wants this backdoor tool, but it's just not a good idea. I'm trying to figure out what else here. I mean, this isn't the first time the government's made a request. I mean, back in prior to the release of iPhone OS 8 in September of 2014, Apple could and did help law enforcement retrieve data from iPhones, although it successfully resisted governmental attempts that it worked to actually hack into its own products until now. This time the government is insisting. Now, of course, this crime is horrific. I'm reading this article in Mashable, and it says the crime is horrific, performed by a religiously motivated terrorist. True. The perpetrators were members of a minority group, and the phone itself was owned by not the criminal, but his employer. So the phone wasn't even owned by the San Bernardino shooter, it was owned by his employer. Now, they could possibly try to go get the code from the employer. I don't know why they didn't think of that, but I don't know I haven't heard any details about that. But the fact that remain is, if the FBI took the phone to the house of the San Bernardino shooter, and it would have automatically synced to his iCloud, they would have had all the data. But I mean, that unfortunately that didn't happen like that. I don't know. Leave comments in the comments below. See think what you think. But this is what I think is that the FBI should have gone to Apple first, and this whole problem would never happen in the first place. That's what I think. I mean, I'm on all sides of Apple on this, but honestly, the FBI could have been smarter about it. That's what I take. So to summarize, The FBI should have taken the phone to Apple before they tried to hack into it themselves and it got formatted. 2, this isn't the first time that this has happened. And 3, next time, FBI just has to be smarter about it. That's probably the first time I said it. That's probably that's the first thing I said. But I gotta repeat it. The third time, they should have been smarter on how to handle this whole situation. Now it's supposed to be this whole thing's supposed to go into courts this week, so we'll see what happens after this week, what the Supreme Court does about it, because it's probably going to go to the Supreme Court about. So, we'll see.